What is up, everybody? ADS Play 101 here, and in this video I want to talk to you guys about my hopes and dreams, which I feel are utterly going to get crushed, about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So for those of you who don't know, another Marvel vs. Capcom game has been announced. Some of you may have seen like the number 4 by Capcom, out there, stating that a fourth Marvel vs. Capcom game was being made. They didn't know if they were going to call it Marvel vs. Capcom 4 or whatever, but they revealed a trailer, and it's called Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Now, the characters that have been confirmed thus far, for those who care to know, and I'm not showing my face because I'm looking up right now, because I'll explain that later. But if you guys want to look at something, you guys can look at my smoke detector, my fan swirling around in my vent guard, for those that care to see something in action. But yeah, the characters that they announced was Captain Marvel, Ryu, Mega Man X, and Iron Man. And they announced Captain America and Morrigan, I believe like just recently, like a day or so ago. So those are the characters that have been confirmed in the game. And the game is going to feature a 2-on-2 style, kind of like the original, like the original versus game that kind of started off Marvel vs. Capcom, which is X-Men versus Street Fighter. They're going to go back to the 2 versus 2 system, which I think is a positive. So in this video, I'm looking up at the ceiling because I'm trying to look up to the positives of this game. That would possibly be released, I think, in 2000, sometime late 2017, maybe. And I just want to look up and hold my head up instead of holding my head down. Like, I want to look at the positives with this. But with that being said, I have some things that I would not like to see in this game, which I think kind of ruined the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise, especially with Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The first thing I would not, and I just want to talk to you guys about it. So, the first thing, I don't want to see an ultimate version of this damn game like months down the line, after the original game gets released. I think that was like the biggest kick in the fucking balls from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That one of the biggest mistakes they made. I understand why they did it, because they were losing their rights to some of the characters, and they wanted to hurry up and get another game, a version of the game out with some balance fixes and things like that. For that, they could have just released a fucking patch. They didn't even have to release a full fucking game for it. But because anytime you release a sequel of the game, it kind of makes the the previous installment kind of obsolete. And for that to only happen literally months after the game is released, like, it's just like, well, what the hell? People just spent their money on the goddamn game, and now you release an ultimate version of it. Is what the fuck? Nobody wants to dish out 60 more. I don't know, man. Like, it was just a stupid thing. I hope they learn a lesson from that, and I hope they don't do it with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Second thing, even though it wasn't in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I don't. I'm hoping. Well, I guess this has already kind of been like kicked to the curb because the trailer came out. I didn't want to see like a gym system like they had in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Now, a lot of you, you pay attention to my channel, and you guys know I never touched Street Fighter Cross Tekken because the game was bad. It was kind of trash. And then they had the whole controversy where they had on-disc DLC, and thanks to the hackers again, who hacked into the game and found, and they unlocked like the DLC characters that were locked into the game that you would have had to pay for. Somehow they, the hackers, they unlocked those characters and they used them. And the excuse that Capcom had as to why they had characters already locked in, the game disc, was because they wanted to have the data already on the disc because the characters weren't finished or something like that. And then when the hackers, they played with the characters after unlocking them, after doing their little hacking magic, they found out that there was nothing wrong with the characters. So Capcom basically lied to try to get more money out of people, and or at the very least they made themselves out to be liars. Because if you say that the characters weren't finished, you're telling me that they weren't fully developed. But if people are playing with the characters, after hacking into the game, and they see that nothing is wrong with them, then that kind of makes your statement that the evidence kind of fucks you up. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to see any more, no more of that for starters. I hope that's not going to happen. But but yeah, like the gym system, a lot of people complain in Street Fighter Cross Tekken that the gym system didn't really do shit. It was just there as like a gimmick that didn't really help with the game at all. And from the videos that I've seen at tournaments and things like that, nobody really paid attention. Nobody really used the gyms. It was just like the gyms, just like you activate the gyms, you get little bonuses or whatever, and it was just like it was basically like a failed experiment. You know what I mean? And the thing that kind of gets me hype about what they are planning on doing with the gym system in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, even though I didn't want to see one, they kind of like they redesigned like a groove system. Anybody who's played like Capcom versus SNK, they had two different versions of that game. They had SNK versus Capcom, which the Capcom characters were more like SNK characters, and then they had Capcom versus SNK, which is the more popular versus game out the two. They had what's called a groove system. It basically giving you different ways to play, different way to do supers, different ways to get like boosts. Some of them gave you boosts depending on how basically it gave you different options to use and different strategies to use to play depending on which groove system that you use. And they're basing the gems in this game off of the gems in the Infinity Gauntlet. So they got soul, reality, mind, space, and time. And I think like the infinite gem, like it allows you to do like a short bursts of like infinite combos for like a while, and then it got the time gem, which seems to let you like teleport. But that looks like it requires some timing. Like different gyms are going to give you different aspects. So that may be a gym system that can be game changing and be good. So I can see some positives with that. Just as long as it's not as bad as the one in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I don't have no problem with that. So even though it didn't have anything to do with Marvel vs. Capcom, like gym system in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I still think that was something to mention. I think this next one I think is something that I don't want to see in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Is infinite fucking combos. One of the biggest complaints that I think anybody who played Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or even seen Marvel vs. Capcom 3 at like the pro game tournaments, one of the biggest complaints that that I know that I've had personally, I don't know if anybody else had them, but I know I've had them and a few other people have had them, because I looked on the internet and whatever, and people complaining in the comments and everything like that. We're tired of seeing infinite combos. Again, they have a gem that kind of grants that, which kind of was reminiscent of like one of the groove systems in Capcom versus SNK 2, or in that series. But there was a limit. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't just do it by default, which you could do with damn near every character in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The off the ground, like when you get knocked down, it's like there's so much time for you to like get them off do like a low hit, get them off the ground, and continue the combo on. Basically, the whole fucking game was fucked up because you can do a one hit into an infinite combo and do 100% damage to that character that's getting beat up. In any fighting game, I don't care which one it is, there's always a chance for the guy that's getting beat up to at least, have a chance at fighting back. It is so boring to watch somebody just get beat up like that and the match just be so fucking one-sided. That's not exciting to see, and it's not exciting to be at the end of. I know that for a fact. And, some people were kind of defending it, saying, oh, it's so hard to do. It don't matter. It don't matter if it's so hard to do for you or anybody else. Anytime you look at the tournaments or any, video on, YouTube or in any fighting game tournament, that's all they're doing. They're one hitting into 100% damage, and that's so fucked up. So I hope they get rid of that completely with Capcom versus SNK, or at the, Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, or at the very least limit, you know, like there have to be something you have to give up in order to be able to do something like that. For example, there's several games, and just to give you an example, most of you know that I did the My Fight Money #2 Street Fighter Five tournament, and I have that video up. I was going up against a diamond rank Guile in Street Fighter Five, and he did like this infinite combo on me in the corner. Now I didn't even know Guile had an infinite first of all, but he was only able to do it while his V trigger was active. Oh, and only during that time, like he couldn't do it, by default. Um, Even in, he can only do it during his V trigger, so it's not like he can just do it, at any given time. He has to have something active, or he has to put in some type of effort in order for him to gain the ability to do that. Even in games like Killer Instinct, you look at characters like Cinder. Cinder has an infinite, but when you look at what he has to give up in order to do that infinite, he has to give up pretty much every uh, bit of his meter, um, you know, in order to do that infinite. So going into the second round, he can't, he has nothing, so he's losing something for doing that. It's like like high risk, high reward type of thing. Is it really worth it to, you know what I mean? Like you have to give up something. In Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it was just too much of that infinite combo. I just really hope they throw that out the window. With just being able to do infinite combos like that from the jump. It wasn't exciting to see, contrary to what a lot of people may say. It was boring to watch, and the game it exhausted pretty quick. It was like after Street Fighter Five came out, people pushed Marvel vs. Capcom 3 to the side because they were already tired of it by that time. It was just infinite combo, infinite combo, infinite combo into damage. And it just, at this point, I don't even think nobody even talks about Marvel vs. Capcom 3 anymore. It's just like one of those things that got played out too quick because they made it too. They pretty much didn't do a good job with the damn game. Let me just say that. Not in terms of business, not in terms of a combat system, none of that. The other thing I want to see get, the other thing I'm hoping that they do something about is this fucking X Factor thing. Now, X Factor, it was like their version of a game changing game mechanic. But it's just one of those things. Again, just like with the gym system in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I feel like it was one of those things that just wasn't necessary. It wasn't really needed. Because I feel like if you didn't have the infinite combo shit going on, it wouldn't be no need for a damn X Factor. 'Cause normally it was just used as like as a damage booster and like a cancel. Or if you're getting your ass whooped, you can activate it to try to like reset your stance so that you can get back in defense or something like that. And it was just like once it's gone, it's gone. You know what I mean? Like it was just like that one thing that I don't know. Like it just didn't. I feel like the X Factor mechanic didn't do what it's supposed to do. It's just I don't know. Like when you think about it, It's not. Yeah, like it wasn't all that. That it was cracked up to be. I'd rather not see anything like that in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So these are just some of the things that I'm talking about that I'm hoping not to see in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I think Marvel vs. And also, and this almost slipped my mind, there's a rumor going around that there won't be any X-Men characters in the game. And in a way, I'm kind of hoping for that. Now, hear me out. Now, I know a lot of people, they're, anytime you see one of these Marvel vs. Capcom games. Now, mind you, they started out as X-Men Cross Street Fighter. Like, that was the first game that started it all. So, of course, it was the X-Men roster versus the Street Fighter roster. And when it became Marvel vs. Capcom, the majority of the Marvel roster were X-Men. You look at Marvel vs. Capcom 1, it was mostly X-Men. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, most of the roster was X-Men. Even in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, damn near all the roster on the Marvel side are X-Men. So, and it was always dominant. The Marvel side was always dominated by X-Men. Now the thing is, I don't have no problem with seeing X-Men in the game, but with the rumor going around that there won't be any X-Men because of like copyright issues and like certain companies don't have rights to the X-Men characters anymore, I don't really know the ins and outs. I think like Sony has the right to the X-Men characters, or like some company does, and the people who are creating the game may not be able to use them. So they may be talking about not putting any X-Men in the game because it may be too much of a hassle trying to get the X-Men and in the in the roster, which in a sense I'm kind of looking forward to. They have a lot of characters in they have a lot of characters in the Marvel universe, such as Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight is in Marvel, right? I don't know if I'm thinking of Azazel or Moon Knight, because Marvel and DC, they always had like some type of this thing where they like to mimic the characters that the other company made. But yeah, Moon Knight, I think he's Marvel, and I would like to see Moon Knight in a Marvel vs. Capcom game, as well as several other characters. You know, uh, if they don't put X-Men in, I think in a way it'll be kind of exciting because I want to see more characters that oftentimes in the Marvel universe don't get any shine. You know, it's like it's too many of them that just don't get the attention I feel like they deserve, and let alone do we see them in a fighting game. And I think this will be a perfect opportunity to make that happen. So, I mean, you guys can look them up, and you can take your pick as to which characters from the Marvel universe you would like to see if they don't put X-Men in the game, any X-Men in there. Hell, I would like to see Silver Surfer in a fucking in like a fucking Marvel vs. Capcom game. I mean, tell me you wouldn't like to see Silver Surfer in a fucking Marvel vs. Capcom game. That would actually be pretty damn good. I would like to see the Fantastic Four in a Marvel vs. Capcom game. Hell, like I wouldn't mind seeing like low key in a Marvel vs. Capcom game. Like, they already got Thor in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, so I can see them putting them in Marvel vs. Capcom. Uh, I mean, I feel like we will see Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man is like a gimme, especially with Spider-Man Homecoming that movie coming out, that reboot. I think they're gonna throw Spider-Man in there as like a promotion tool because they got to keep Spider-Man kind of fresh in our minds for the sake of that movie. So I think they're gonna throw him in there. I mean, Iron Man's in there. I kind of I want to say I want to see them put War Machine in there, but I don't want them to fill the roster up with too many similar characters. You know what I mean? Like Iron Man and War Machine, that's kind of like in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, they had like the regular Wolverine and then they had Bone Claw Wolverine. It was just like, I don't want to see too many of the same characters in there. You know, I don't know why they took so long. Yes, sir. Come on, man. Somebody texting me right now. Anybody who watched Kamen Rider, you guys know where that comes from. But yeah, I want to see who else they are willing to throw on the roster. So even if they can get the X-Men, and I know as a business move that would probably be smart for them to put them in there, but I'm kind of hoping that they don't, because I want to see who else they would be willing to put in there, because they already got Captain Marvel in there, and I think that's a good addition right off the bat. Captain Marvel was never in a fighting game, or at least not to my knowledge, or at least not in the Marvel vs. Capcom series. That's a character that kind of got ignored, and now she has a chance to get in the roster. And I would like to see more characters like that make it into the into the game. I want to see some fresh faces. I don't want to see the same old. You know, I mean, of course, you're always going to have the mainstays such as Ryu. You know, he's already been confirmed. You have Morrigan. I would like to see some characters from Darkstalkers. I would actually like to see uh, Dimitri from Darkstalkers making it to a Marvel vs. Capcom game because he doesn't get any type of shine outside of Darkstalkers. Then Dimitri, he was like one of the better characters to use, or like one of the more exciting characters to use in uh, in Darkstalkers. Um, or if some of you may know it as Vampire Hunter, I believe that's what it was called in uh, in other countries. But yeah, I would like to see some fresh faces. I don't want to see too many X-Men. I don't want to see the Marvel side dominated by X-Men anymore. Just like I don't want to see the Capcom side dominated by Street Fighter. I don't want to see, even though that's how the whole Versus series came to be, X-Men versus Street Fighter still. I think this is a perfect time to introduce people to new characters and, put some fresh faces on the roster. So that's all I'm saying. Like, they did a good job with Morrigan. Well, not Morrigan. Oh, God, not her. Not her. But they did a good job with Mega Man X and with Captain Marvel. And they even allowing you to change. Now, I don't know how far they plan on taking this mechanic for X, but they allow you to change, like, his armor. I don't know what type of abilities he's going to have, but if you can, like, change into, like, different change his armor just based on like the Maverick abilities that he has. I think that would be like something cool that I hope they implement. There's a lot of things that I think are are positives to them not putting a bunch of X-Men and a bunch of Street Fighter characters in there. And I would like to. I just want to see what other characters they're willing to put into the game besides, X-Men and Street Fighter characters. If it's going to be Marvel versus Capcom, then let's put more Marvel characters in there and more Capcom characters in there. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's pretty much it, man. So these are some of the things that I don't want to see, and some of the things that I hope that they do. In Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So this is just wishful thinking. I'm not really saying that any of this stuff is going to happen, but in the event that they don't put any Marvel, in any event that Marvel can't get the X-Men characters, I think it's going to be like a blessing in disguise, so to speak. So that's all, man. So thank you guys for watching. Peace, and I will see you guys next time.